Hello there. What we're going to be doing is focusing on movement from the 6th-string bar chords to the 5th-string bar chords, and then we're also going to be talking about some variances in strumming that we can work on as well. So before we worry about the movement stuff, let's just talk about the chord itself. What I'd like you to do is just try and make a 6th-string bar chord. I'll go ahead and go to G, 3rd fret here, bar over that, and then make the E shape, which gives me a G bar chord. Okay, what I want you to practice with this chord is I want you to practice being able to create rhythms two different ways. The first way is the way you normally create rhythms, which is strumming and then moving away from the strings. Okay, that's what we normally do. But this new one, what we're going to do is we're going to create rhythms by simply lifting our fingers, okay? Over here, we continue strumming over here like we normally would, but we lift the fingers. Now, we don't lift them off completely. What we're going to do is lift them enough to where we get a scratching sound. So what I'm doing is I'm just lifting them enough to get the scratching sound, just like I used to do when I practiced this. I'm making this chord, but I'm not pressing down. I'm lifting up, and I'm getting this sound. So that way what I can do is I can go back and forth between strumming and get that scratching sound in between. So one way would be having the chord sound more legato, where it continually strums, or it continually rings out. And the other way is to continually strum. Again, that doesn't mean you have to strum every 8th note. It doesn't mean you strum every down and every up. You can still create a strumming pattern just like I was doing before. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit some of those by lifting the pressure up. Okay? Now the exercise I'm going to give you is using a song by George Michael, and it's called Faith. So you've probably heard that before, but if you haven't, obviously you can jump on YouTube here and look it up. But it's Faith by George Michael. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this chord, which is on G right now, we're going to move up to the 7th fret, which is B, and here's what the rhythm's going to do. Okay, so what you'll notice I'm doing is I'm strumming some of them, missing some, and then every once in a while I'm also lifting. As what you watch this video, what I want you to do is hear that rhythm that I'm playing, but watch my left hand. Watch me push and release the pressure. So you can hear dun, 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 dun. Those are the ones I'm pushing on. So it's a really great left-hand dominant kind of strumming pattern where you're not just, creating a pattern over here, but you're actually utilizing that scratching to create new patterns by lifting the pressure. Okay, so that's the new kind of strumming style that I want you to focus on. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to start trying to practice moving back and forth between the 6th and the 5th strings. Now, as we've already talked about, the 6th string creates all 12 of your major chords, all 12 of your minor chords, and that sort of thing, all the way up. The 5th string does exactly the same thing. The only difference is that it does it with the shapes of the A. So the 5th string isn't producing anything new, it's just producing a different place to play exactly the same thing. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to play a 1-4-5 chord progression, which we've already talked about is a very common chord progression in music. So if I wanted to play A, D, and E, for instance, now I could play A right here, and D right here, and E right here, and it'd be perfectly fine. But let's say I wanted to play those in bar chord form, okay? I could play A on the 6th string right here, which means D is right below it on the 5th string. That's the 4th power chord, or the 4 chord in the key. So I have A and D. A on the 6th string, D on the 5th string. And then E would be 2 frets higher than D. So I'd have A, D, and E. 1, 4, 5. A, D, E. And what's great about that is if you can get used to being able to think of it as 1 on the 6th string, 4 underneath it, and 5 2 frets higher, 1 4 5. Okay, what you learn is actually how to do a 1 4 5 in any key. Because if I was in the key of F, I could play 1 4 5, or F sharp, I'd have 1 4 5, or G, I'd have 1 4 5, or G sharp or A flat, 1 4 5. You see, the shape never changes. 1 is always up here, 4 is always underneath it, and 5 is 2 frets higher. So what's kind of neat about that is that you could actually play the 1 4 5 in any key before you could probably ever say it out loud or think about it. So if I asked you to play a 1 4 5 in the key of F sharp, you'd have 1 4 5. As long as you could find F sharp on the 6th string, 1 4 5, you could play it. Okay? So that's the big thing. The second thing that's really nice about this 1 4 5 idea on the 6th string and the 5th string is it keeps you in one position. You're not moving all across the 6th string or all across the 5th string trying to play progressions. You can stay in one spot. 1 4 5, 1 4 5. Okay? So instead of going 1 4 5 up that way, you can stay in one little place and play everything that you need right there. So again, the 5th string is not producing anything new, but it's producing a different place to play the same thing, which in this case is very beneficial for us. So 1 4 5. Okay, so I want you to take a look at those. I want you to start working on the movement of the 6th string and the 5th string, the movement back and forth between the 6th string and the 5th string. We've already talked about the notes on all of them. And the other big thing for us is this strumming where we're lifting the pressure of the 6th string. And again, a really great song to look at is Faith by George Michael, which is actually using this 7th fret, which is B on the 6th string. It's using that chord. So take a look at that and let me know if you have any questions.